Okay. Hola, everybody. Hola, angels everywhere. Um, okay, we're still on the body today. What is the body? And, I have been working on this all week on this one page in the workbook lessons. What is the body? And I'll just read the first sentence of several of the pages. The body is a fence. The body will not stay. The body is a dream. And then it gets more detailed. So I was sitting with this because I actually, when I was still living miracles, I did a whole series on Beyond the Body. That was the title of the show, Beyond the Body. And again, I'm grateful for the diagnosis of cancer because it really pushed me. It pushed me to see myself not as a body. But when because we so attach ourselves, small s, ourselves to form, our body means something to each and every one of us. And the first paragraph we went over last week on what is the body, it talked about the body's being a fence. It's a fence. And it's really a fence around this idea of self, small s. So when we think of, fill in your name, when you think of calico, I'm saying it for myself, there's a whole form attached. It's not just mind, it's a face. There's a face and a picture of calico. And what Jesus is saying to all of us, that's what we did when we first separated. Okay? So we had a tiny mad idea. I can do this better. So we then create a form and a name and become identified with this image. I can't remember. I think it was one of you guys sent me this little cartoon. It was so funny. It was of this dog that walked by a mirror and hated it. It was just its image. And it went after this image like it was going to pull out the jugular and kill it until it took its last breath. And all it was its image. And that's really like how we work it. I mean, this, as much as you can say, I love me, I love me, I love me, the truth is we're separating. And I know, Hannah, you sent, or I posted it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. It was a post about a woman was doing, I thought it was a really good talk about people pleasing. And I know Hannah and I had this conversation about boundaries. Well, what I'm talking about here is the ultimate boundary. Now, boundaries are kind of funny. They can either fence things in or they can fence things out. And that's kind of the way we work with our worlds. I am going to bring into my personal boundary those things that I think are safe. Okay? I'm going to keep out anything that doesn't appear safe. Now, I know, yeah, Hannah, we can talk about this later if you have questions about it, because what I'm saying here is boundaries are not in Jesus's interest, ever. But we live life with these boundaries, and they're all connected to concepts. It can either be a concept of me, So therefore, if you don't like me, I'm not inviting you into my boundary. If you like me, I'll invite you into my boundary. We see that's not what Jesus is telling us. But we have to see that we're creating these boundaries. This is good, this is bad. I will let this come in, I will not let that come in. And so it really is, once you get that you're a people pleaser, which is all about really reframing boundaries. Because as a people pleaser, we have these concepts like family. Family's good. Family's supposed to be safe. Families will protect you. And that's not always the case. And so it's really just to explore how we're holding boundaries and how we have some boundaries for certain types of people and we have other boundaries for other types of people. And this is all related to bodies and the concepts that we call Hannah, Lisa, Kathy, Norma, Hazel, Victoria, Roland. We have these concepts that we call ourselves. And concepts all have to be broken down. Concepts were put in place when we had this tiny idea. Oh, I've got a better idea. And then, as I'm sure you can fill in the blank, the scripts are endless on this one, but we do something that is like really great. And it goes very bad. Oh, let's just talk about relationships. That's always, one can always find one in their relationships. You meet that perfect person, that soulmate, that twin flame, that one in, oh my God, they're my one and only. And then 6 months into the relationship, you want to kill them. Or they want to kill you. It really doesn't matter because it's the same thing. The reality is these concepts go around trying to fix our worlds, trying to make our world better. So really, this whole idea of bodies is the faster we can dismantle this idea of who we think we are, the better. And I tell you, one of the ways to do this is watch your speaking. You may not be real good with thinking yet, but you're speaking. I want you to be really like a hawk when you're talking and listening to yourself. It's the simplest thing, like, I have a headache. Who has a headache? Well, I do. Well, it's a concept and it needs to just be dismantled. So let's look at this. Let's go in. Let's dig deeper. Who is I in the I have a headache? We're making it up. To be real honest. And that's not to beat ourselves up with it, but it's really to separate out this concept of I as an individual that has a fence, as Jesus said, we have a fence around it called our body. So I have Calico and I have a fence around it called Calico's body. And I really think this is one of the big things that cancer did for me. Okay, they're telling me your body is so toxic, it's gonna die soon. Get into hospice. I had the fear of God in me because this concept that I held very dear, Calico, was checking out. So where does the I go when the body leaves? Interesting thought. The I doesn't go anywhere because the I is really just a thought in mind. The I is a thought in mind, but we have so made it real that it's hard to separate out this concept called Calico and the truth of who I am, which is only love. I am a loving thought in the mind of God. God doesn't see me in a body. Only I see me in a body. I'm not even sure you see me in a body. I can't be sure of what any of you are thinking, but I know for me, this form that I present in is meaningless. Yet, then I want you to start journaling. Where have you attempted to protect your form in life? Now, this shouldn't be too hard to do, and you may fill up volumes on this if you're being very honest. Where have you wanted to protect this form that you call you? And this is really what is the body. You know, you've all heard it. We've said it 1,000 different ways in every one of our group studies we've ever done. The body is a communication device. Yawn. Oh, we don't know what that means. But here's the deal. We've made it so much more that we go, yeah, it's a communication device. And I need to eat gluten-free. And I don't like to eat sugar. And I need to get it vaccinated periodically. And I need to go to the doctor periodically. And I mean, we can go on and on and on. I need to feed it periodically. I need to give it a nice place to live. I need to make money so I can get a nicer place to put it in. You know, I mean, this is what I've been all week. I'm just going, oh my God, talk about insane. All for this form called Calico's body. Calico's body. So this is, you know, I know it's a projection. The body is nothing but a projection. And I got this so clear too. Cancer served me in so many ways. So I know I'm going to be repeating myself with a lot of this. You know, I had a beautiful, loving, anorexic mother and a beautiful, loving, raging alcoholic father. You know, it was a family of confusion and chaos. You know, simple things. My mother would buy donuts for my brother and father, but they were off limits to me. Okay. And I always wondered, I even asked her about that several times. And she says, well, you could lose a few pounds. Now, this was when I was thin. You know, I'm a fat person now. And that's primarily, food does not make you fat. I created a fat form to learn how to love it. Because I hated forms that were fat. And so really with cancer and putting on 100 pounds in 1 year, and it wasn't because I was overeating, it was for me to deal with this major fear that I came into this world to deal with this lifetime. And so I couldn't check out until I really got into this topic for myself. Calico, can you just for once just love all of it, including your form, without attempting to fix it, alter it, change it, make it lose a few pounds? Oh, make it younger, give it some hair color. Oh my God. I mean, this is just these are my thoughts, not that they're your thoughts, but I really feel like this is a real good topic to journal on. What do you see your body as? And you can start it with Jesus telling you it's a fence. The body is a fence. But then you ask yourself, what am I keeping in? And what am I keeping out? Because I need to deal with both of them with love. And it's a big topic. I mean, you can dismantle your whole mind if you can just get clear on who is the I in form that you either hate or love. But I guarantee if you're judging anything, you hate your form. Because all judgment comes back to create suffering for whom? Me. Doesn't matter what I'm judging, it'll come back and smack me in the ass. So it's all about, so really, A Course in Miracles is how to love everything, especially self. Because if you can love self, guess what you can extend? Love. If you don't love yourself, guess what you can't extend? Love. And I know this one. I mean, I was so obsessed with form. So completely obsessed with form. I mean, I didn't look overtly like I was possessed with form. I mean, I wasn't anorexic. You know, I had none of the labels, but I was obsessed with form because really in my world of thinking, you're either going to love me or hate me depending on how this form presents to you. And I was completely committed to having people like me, which is completely people pleasing. But I didn't know that. I just thought I want to present the most acceptable form I can to having the most people like me. And that's not just the image, but also, you know, what I say and how I said it. And I picked words very carefully. And it's funny because I don't do any of that anymore. And I have to deal with, you know, a lot of people going, God, Calico, you're really quite frank. And I don't think it is frank anymore. I just think it's on my mind. I'm just being honest with what's on my mind because I'm not picking my words. I'm not being careful. Oh, they're really sensitive around this topic. I won't go into that topic. You know, I say it was from being raised in an alcoholic family. You know, anyone that was raised with an alcoholic in the family, we had an extra perceptual thing that was just antenna. And it would read a room faster than anyone could read a room. You'd walk into a crowded room and you go, okay, who's safe, who's not safe? Where would it be okay for me to put the form down in? Oh, here's a chair, I'll sit here. Oh, no, that person's drinking way too much. I can't sit next to them. And this is this extrasensory perception of how to fit in, how to look normal. And I'm saying, you know, this is not what Jesus is talking about. And this is this fence that I would walk around with wherever I'd go. And it was like, you know, oh my God. I mean, it happened so many times. I'd be in different parts in a city and I would, oh, this is not a good part of the city for me to be in. This is dangerous. We need to get out of here. You know, it was just this extrasensory perception on safety. And I really say I got that from my father because, you know, depending how he got home from work, you were either visible or invisible, you know? I mean, you were either in the kitchen chatting or you ran to your room and hid in your closet. And it's the way I've lived my life. And it was just this developed very early and it was a protective mechanism. So I had to dismantle that whole mechanism. because it wasn't serving me. And in the process of doing it, I saw how much fear I had. And when I saw how much fear I had, I started putting on weight. Why? To help forge up this fence. Now we've got a block wall to protect us from anything that's not safe. And the reality, all it is to start loving that which is inside the fence. It's not anything out there, because that's all my projection. So the only projection I need to really address is the projection I have of myself. And I know you have these voices and you can hear them in your head. Oh, Calico, why did you say that? Oh, Calico, tune it down just a few notches. Oh, Calico, keep your mouth shut. I mean, it's really the way I kind of went through my day, was being edited every step of the way of this is good, this is not so good, this would be safe. And I'd always pick the safe option. Well, it was all about protecting the body, protecting the image of Calico. And that's what we're talking about. What is the body? Yes, it is a communication device, but not in the way that we have treated it. Because we have, all I can say is we have created a nightmare in form. And it's because we don't accept anything. And really, that's why we even came into this world. Remember, tiny mad idea, I can do it better. And then at some point you go, oh my God, I can't do anything better. Nothing I do will change anything. And that's a really great place to get to. I can't, there's nothing to do. And then you start dismantling all those ideas that you need to do anything. You're perfect. You're a loving thought from the mind of God. You don't need to change that one iota. A loving thought in the mind of God is not concerned with how they look or appear to others. A loving thought in the mind of God does not fear saying something that might be taken the wrong way. A loving thought in the mind of God just is love for whatever crosses their path. And there are no levels in mind training, but as you get clearer and clearer with all the thoughts that you're thinking and really start getting, oh, this is a minefield in thought. I really don't have a lot of nice things to say about anybody, especially myself. The body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. Because once you start loving yourself exactly as you are and not trying to protect it, not trying to keep it safe, just living the eternal, living a life of wonder and joy. But that's not how most of us live our lives. We live it, I'll speak for myself. I used to live it in a very critical way. And it was not anything that I verbalized to anyone else. It was like I said, I would enter a room and my antenna are going like crazy. Okay. it feels like an okay room, or, ooh, this room feels real angry. What do I know how other people are thinking? It's how did I enter the room? I may be really critical on myself that minute. Guess what? I'm going to be critical on everybody else that's in the room. And so it's really starting to dismantle this idea that this I that I see myself as, I am Calico, or I am fill in your name. Who is this I? If the body dies, does that fill you with fear? Like, what happens to me? The body's dies. Where do I go? That's how close we have fused our form with our identity. It's the biggest concept you're all ever going to have to dismantle. It's a big concept. And I encourage you to dismantle it in any way possible, because the sooner you separate from this form, and you can I'm doing that now because I don't see myself as a body. I am. Oh, every now and then when I get critical of form, it's usually not moving as fast as I want it to. That's my biggest criticism. And as soon as that criticism slips into my thinking stream, I'm correcting it. No, this body is moving just fine. Get off its case, Calico. It serves you well. And then we have a little talk with Holy Spirit to see it differently, and we move on. And so the body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity. See, if you can start seeing you're not even this I am Calico or I am blank, you're not that. And if you can get that, then you can start returning to sanity. Though the body was made to fence yourself into hell without escape. Let's just think about that. The body was made to fence you into hell without escape, because you don't love your body. Or if you love your body, it has a lot of conditions on it. Well, if you just did a little Botox, or if you put the blush on exactly how is it need, a little lipstick, make it presentable, then I might have an okay day. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you are not your body. The body is a projection, like every other projection. It's all we've been dealing with are projections, projections, projections. The body is a projection. I now have a fat form to learn how to love. Yeah. And it's working. And it's working. But I'm not this form. I am not this form. I'm not Calico. I am eternal. I am mind. And it lets everything in this horizontal world go, because it just doesn't serve. So again, this is this is your PhD program to mind training. And this is not something that you get or don't get. All I can say is it's an area you might want to look at if you start seeing your mind is being a little critical. Just something to look at, because none of it's right or wrong. I don't care if you wear lipstick. I don't care if you put blush on. I don't care if you color your hair. But why? just get in touch with why are you doing that? Well, I look younger. I remember when I got this, my mother, she was 90 years old. And I would go out and buy her hair dye. I still remember it was L'Oreal hair dye #9 ash blonde. I remember it because, oh no, I need to do my hair. Well, she A, didn't have much hair left, and B, I'm not sure putting that stuff on her hair was helpful, but she had to do it because she was it was like, no, it makes me look younger. And it's kind of like, wow, Mom, can't you just love yourself? But she wasn't real good with that. She didn't know how to love herself. I mean, my father didn't either. He just got angry and kept people away from him. My mother, I saw an article the other day. It was talking about, do you know someone that gives you the silent treatment? My mother was the queen of the silent treatment. She would go silent. My father, I'd be sitting on the front porch, Dad would come home from work and he would look at me and go, is she talking yet? And I'd have to be, no. She's gone for weeks, months. And we couldn't even remember why it started, but she was not going to share. Then I was reading this article. People that give silent treatments are narcissists. And I thought, okay, well, that makes sense. And we're all narcissists. I'm not saying she was just showing me in the most profound way possible. 90 pounds soaking wet, 5'10". And I'm thinking it's her problem. Until I got into A Course in Miracles, I went, oh, nope, it's my problem. And I hate fat. I fear fat above all else. So what do? I put on 100 pounds. It's like, yep, we're going to deal with this in this universe, in this time frame right now. We're not going to exit this world until we get to this. Has it been easy? No, not even remotely. And the most worthwhile stuff I've ever done. Because I want to truly experience loving with all capital letters, with no outside interference of, yeah, but I'm looking at, I can't really see the Zoom room, but I can see dark circles. It's like, yeah, like the raccoon eyes. What's that all about? I'm still able to see certain things, and that's a good thing. And my lips still work, so that's I'm still being able to be a communication device. Okay, Jesus, use me all up. Just use me all up. And we'll go at it from however the form looks. You'll send the people that need to see this form, and it will all be perfect. So with that, I've talked a long time. Okay, that's enough. The body is a big topic. It really is. And Jesus is asking us to get beyond the body. But that's no simple feat. That is no simple feat. We first have to be honest that we're a little critical of ourselves. And that may come out with being critical at others. Because remember, projection takes it even one step out there. So if I don't feel comfortable getting critical with myself, I'll get critical with you because that's safer. But it's not when you do A Course in Miracles, because guess what? It's my criticism. It has nothing to do with them. Nothing, ever. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to say goodbye to all our YouTube friends. Goodbye, YouTube friends. Hang on.